Doing well, man. It's great to have you on the show, and for some crazy reason, you decided to be friends with us, both of us, on Facebook, which I'm sure you've regretted ever since.
I have. I've regretted it immensely, but
You can't get rid of us.
Yeah, that's true. Now it's too late. But, it's cool, and that's what's great about having been on the show. And the things we like to talk about on the show is not only, of course, to talk more about you and, Neverworld and what's going on with you guys, but to just, learn a little bit more about you as a person, because that's really what connects people to metal, is not necessarily just the music, but it's the people behind the music. And we definitely want to kind of pick your brain a little bit. But, man, it's been a pretty crazy last couple of months in the Neverworld camp from what I've been able to see. And what you've obviously put out there on Facebook and the way you communicate with that. But currently you guys are in the studio doing some new stuff right now. And, just kind of curious what you think of the vibe of that so far has been. Is it, what are our fans of Neverworld going to expect or should expect when they hear the new stuff that comes out?
well, basically, for me, as a musician, when you're writing and you're recording, you always get the vibe that it's the best stuff you've ever done to that point. And this is no different, really. So I'm really excited about the new Neverworld stuff. It's a lot more progressive, a lot more light and shade, time changes, melodies, dark vibes. It's got everything I wanted it to have. So I'm really excited about what we're doing at the moment. And if you guys got the first album, the track Blood and Romance, we did with a female singer called Christina Guiney. Now she's coming back to finish off this like epic trilogy.
Oh, sweet.
So
Nice.
yeah, it's kind of like a rock opera as such, but without the pomp. It's very dark and it's it's kind of sad and angry, but it's got everything in it, and that's what we're kind of up to right at this point in time. We've got a few festival shows at the end of this month and early next month, and a few more gigs scattered around. But predominantly, our time is in the studio at the moment, just creating this new EP we're doing.
Very cool.
Nice. So, going in this kind of new progressive or more progressive direction, Ben, what were some of the influences you pulled from? I mean, where did you kind of get that creative energy to kind of pull in a more darker, more progressive side to your music?
I think it's always been there. I've always loved progressive metal, progressive rock. Huge Fates Warning fan, and they've influenced me a lot. And I think it comes a point where you can only go so far with traditional metal and stuff. As much as I love it, you don't want to repeat yourself too much. I don't think there's anything worse than sort of treading water as a musician. It's important to progress, and that the nature of the word progression is to move on. So I mean, that's essentially what we're doing, and there's so many good sort of progressive bands doing out there and doing stuff out there. And what I like about it the most is there are no rules as such. You can just sort of, okay, I'm going to create this vibe, and then we're going to go here, then we're going to go there. And it's just fun trying to figure out ways to do that without, sounding like a mess. So it's more challenging. It's just a better thing to be doing for us right now at this point in time, I think.
Very cool. And I'll tell you what, Ben, speaking of that, it's funny because earlier on in the episode, we actually reviewed Fates Warning's most recent album. And
very, very cool album.
Viv and I were really, really impressed. And I know you actually on Facebook, about a month ago. And yes, again, I know the album's been out for a while, but we're just catching up here.
I know you're catching up, yeah.
But it's an incredible, incredible album. What were your, not to have you do our work for us, Ben, but kind of give us your thoughts on that too, because we'd love to hear it from the artist's perspective of what you thought it was, because we were really impressed.
Well, I first heard the track From the Rooftops, as everyone else probably did.
Yep.
Which got leaked out, and I thought, if the rest of the album is as good as this, they've done something very, very special yet again. And it is. Face Warning are an enigma to me. I think that they never repeat themselves. They always seem to come up with the goods. And it's always something different, but they always retain this signature sound that they have as well, which is, actually really hard to do. But it's probably my album of the year so far.
Wow.
And there's been some good stuff out this year as well.
There has been.
Well, you just actually answered my next question, because my next question to you was going to be exactly that. What do you think the album of the year is so far? And, I have to agree with you. That definitely is a candidate. I think that is a great CD. And you mentioned something there, Ben, that kind of piqued my interest, in that you want to keep that signature sound, but yet you want to kind of, well, as you said, progress. So
yeah.
How difficult as an artist is it to do that, to have that balancing act between keeping the old fans happy and still trying something new without going too far?
It's difficult because it depends how long you've been around for a start. I think, you can make the same album twice maybe and get away with it in this day and age, but not much more than that, I don't think. But I think, to be honest, I think fans expect you to evolve. It's kind of crazy not to, isn't it? The older you get, the more life experience you have, the better musician you become because you play more, you're doing more stuff. So, in theory, you should be writing the best stuff of your career later on, But I don't know how it really works in the end. There's no rules as such, is there? It's just if you want to try something new, just sort of go for it, and they'll either lap it up or they'll hate you for it. But at least you've done what you wanted to do at the end of the day. You've sort of stayed true to yourself.
Yeah, my question also, and you're absolutely right. I mean, you have to do. It's a tough balancing act to, be the kind of same band who produces the same stuff that you could always expect, and that's safe, and that'll work for your core of fans. But I think to really gain some people, you've got to change things up a little bit, and it's a tough thing to do. And speaking of that, it kind of brings me into this, where your Armies of the Night track is very different to me than the other stuff you've done. And what I also like about it is the fact that it has a very just catchy chorus to it that I think is or can we expect more of that from Neverworld? I think that's the part of the song that really makes me go, oh hell yeah, let's get into this. Is that something that you're kind of developing a little bit more so too, in regards to just trying to have a little bit more of a like a chorus hook? Because I'll tell you what, there's a handful of albums even recently that have come out that bands recently have really figured out a way to just really make that really catchy kind of sing-along chorus that really will bring a listener into even sometimes a mediocre track. As long as it has that chorus, it works sometimes, sadly.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things. It's actually it can be quite hard to write simple, if you know what I mean. Because really, the basis of a great chorus is it's simple, it's catchy, it's hooky. With Neverworld as such, it's always on the agenda to do stuff like that. But we put it this way: the last couple of things we've just written are racking in at 14 minutes each.
Oh, nice!
And there's very little repetition, apart from, like the basis of the melody and such, but there's no real, what you'd say, a chorus. And I don't think you need it in a song, in those type of songs, because they are telling a story as such, But I personally, yes, I'd love to do. I like a nice balance. If we're going to do an album, I want a few epics, a ballad maybe, and some real good rockers that are great to play live. And those are the tracks that I would, concentrate on trying to put a decent, chorus and delivery in. But I am sort of readdressing my approach to vocals and trying to think outside the box, because I haven't actually been singing that long. And, when you find yourself doing the same things over and over again, you think, nah, I've got to stop that now. I've got to try and do something different to make, just to give it some sort of new edge. So it's always on the agenda to think to do something like nice and hooky. I think we've got a few tracks that do that.
Awesome.
You sing along sort of tracks, but it's the thing with Neverworld is it's just it's such a mixed bag. It's there's no distinct formula as such. It's not AC/DC. You don't know what you're going to do sort of thing before you've done it. We literally sit down in the studio and it's either me or Jack, the other guitar player, or Mike, the drummer, just writing something that we like the sound of, or writing to a theme. So we've got the idea for the theme in our heads, and whether that sort of determines whether it's going to be like a full-on epic story kind of thing, or you just like pumping your fist in the air kind of track.
Nothing wrong with those either.
No,
so
not at all.
Ben, tell our listeners that aren't familiar with All Seeing Eyes, kind of bring them in on what that's all about, and the first release, and kind of where we're at coming up on the second release.
Yeah, All Seeing Eyes came about. I used to be in a band with my fellow All Seeing Eyes guitar player, Kenny Fraser. I was in a band with him probably about 12 years ago now, called Sentinel. And we did actually quite well for a short period of time. Then the lineup imploded. And we went our separate ways and got back together again, recorded a bit, went our separate ways again. And then I guess he's basically, Kenny's grandfather sadly passed away about, I don't know, 7 years ago. And he asked me to sing a track called You Raise Me Up, very famous song, everybody knows it. So I did that. Anyway, years passed, and I had the track on my laptop, and I thought, do you know what, I've never put it out there. So I put it on YouTube, and I hadn't actually spoken to Kenny for a long time. So he somehow found it on YouTube and got in contact with me again. And we hooked up, and obviously I had Neverworld going on at the time, but I was in the market for doing something a little bit different. So we just chatted, and we kind of hooked up with our old keyboard player James Thackway at the time, and the three of us decided to write as many songs as we possibly could in a short space of time, make them as different as we possibly could, and get some of our friends in along the way to do special guest spots. And what happened was Trinity Road, a double disc debut album, which is unheard of, I guess. But very proud of that album because I think it just has everything I wanted it to have. We recorded it in a very short space of time, written and recorded in 18 months. And Neverworld has never done anything like that. We're much slower. So it was great to work, quickly, efficiently, and get this stuff out there. And people seem to really like it. So we got it out there, and it got rave reviews and stuff. And ever since we did that, we've wanted to do another one, which we are planning to do as soon as I get this Neverworld business out of the way. This year, we will probably, we've already done the new track From the Ashes, so I'm hoping we can get back in the studio probably around October time, if all goes well.
Very cool.
Well, let's not get the Neverworld business out of the way just yet. We still want to hear the new stuff, so we'll make sure that we check that out. Speaking of new stuff, really quick, going to play for you not only the latest track from Neverworld, but also they have a video, which we'll talk to Ben a little bit more here in a second. But this is Armies in the Night from Neverworld. Check it out.